Welcome back to Two Keto Dudes. This is Carl Franklin from Connecticut in the United States. And in February of 2016, I put myself on a ketogenic diet to take control of my metabolism. In just 2.5 months, I managed to reverse all my markers of type 2 diabetes with diet alone. As of now, I'm 80 pounds lighter with no signs of diabetes or heart disease.
Hi, I'm Richard Morris in Canberra, Australia. And this time I really am in Canberra, Australia. Yeah, I've been on a ketogenic diet since April of 2014, and when I started, I was very sick with complications from type 2 diabetes. Within 6 months of starting a ketogenic diet, all of my biomarkers of disease had disappeared. I've lost about 100 pounds, so I've completely turned my health around.
And I can't wait to say the same. 100 pounds wise. You know, this show is a document of our experiences thriving for years in ketosis.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully that might help a few people who are curious about this kind of dietary hacking.
Yeah, we're not doctors. We don't want to give any medical advice, but we are keen to share our own experiences. We're actually both software developers, so we're not afraid of a little technical detail, are we, Carl?
No.
That's a negative. We have done some research into our own deranged metabolisms and the science behind that. We hope to share some of that research. Where possible, we intend to put links in the show notes to cite research supporting any claims that we make.
And you'll probably work out pretty quickly that we're both foodies.
Uh-huh.
We love to cook and we love to eat.
Yep.
In every episode, we both share a keto recipe that, can't be ignored.
Absolutely not.
So, let's start podcast number 109, the Ketofest show.
Yeah.
So, Richard, do we have any apologies or corrections from last week's show?
That was stories from Breckenridge. I don't think we made any mistakes, but of course, if you have any errata that you want to send us, you know the email address.
Sure, dudes@twoketodudes.com.
Mm-hmm.
So how was your week, my friend?
Well, I got my laptop back. So here's this long story about what happened was I went to Breckenridge. This was the Low Carb Breckenridge Conference, and I'm in third week of university studies. And so I had a whole bunch of assignments to do while I was in Breckenridge, and I had to watch lectures online. And of course, the internet was really lousy. And I had my laptop with me so I could submit these assignments. And one of the assignments I had to submit from the American Airlines lounge in Denver Airport, because I was going to be there for 5 hours. And so, there was an opportunity to do my assignment and submit it and get it in on time. Well, I left my laptop in the lounge, and so my next flight was to LA. I went to LA, and both Andrew and Louise and Dr. Stephen Bruckner were on the same flight. And
wow, cool.
And so Andrew and Louise had to head off early, but Dr. Bruckner and I had a lovely dinner. He got me into the first class lounge, the Qantas lounge in LAX, which is, I tell you, it's a fancy restaurant. And so we got in the first class lounge, and, we had a nice dinner conversation, and I said, well, I've got to go now because I've got to do my biology assignment. And I went around to the business class lounge, which is the only lounge I'm entitled to go into. and I went to go into my backpack to get my laptop out to do this assignment, and the zip on the top of the backpack was open. And I reached in and my laptop wasn't there. And I just had this massive panic attack. I called back to Denver Airport to see if I'd left it at security, because, as you're getting on the plane, you got to take your laptop out. And they said, no, it's not in security. And then I contacted the American Airlines lounge just in case, and they had it. And they couldn't send it to me immediately, but they FedExed it to me, and a week later it's finally arrived in Australia. So that's it's a long story, but anyway.
That's pretty good, though. Only a week?
Oh, no, I didn't get my assignment in on time, which was a shame.
Yeah.
I'm flying out again this Friday to Perth to a low carb conference in Perth. That's like a 4.5-hour flight.
For those who don't know, that's like, on the other side of the continent. It's kind of like going from New York to Los Angeles, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So I'm taking my laptop, and hopefully I don't leave it there because I need to do an assignment on Sunday.
So are you tired, fatigued, jet lagged, all of the above?
All of the above. Yeah. And I've got 8 a.m. starts, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. days at university, which I'm not used to. So that plus the fact that, I podcast at 2 a.m. in the morning. So it's, I'm lacking, I'm lacking sleep lately. But that's how my week has been. Not a lot of sleep. How's your week been?
Pretty good. Just a report about, my pork belly experiment. I was off it while we were in Breckenridge, obviously.
Sure.
And from Breckenridge, I went to the MVP Summit, and there was just no good food options there. And I had to do my best, but there was not enough fat, and I ended up putting on some weight and going off of it.
Ouch.
And eating more than I should have, because there's just not enough fat. I mean, everybody's got it in their mind that, fat makes you fat, and the opposite is true for me.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got back, and I bought a little pork belly and turned it into a mini porchetta, which you do.
As you do, yeah.
And cooked it up. And first day I had that, and that was Monday, and this is Wednesday. Tuesday I had a combination of that plus bacon, a little bit of the pork belly, but I also had bacon and some pancetta.
Yeah, so really pork belly with a garnish of pork belly.
Of pork belly and a little cured pork belly.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And it's been miraculous. Like, I'm not hungry. I feel great, and losing weight again, and I'm feeling really good about it.
That's wonderful.
I'm going to keep going as long as I can. All right, so the other news, something that you may have noticed, my friend, when we were in person, but I've developed a benign tremor, mostly in my left hand.
Yeah,
and
I did notice. It was like a palsy, sort of. Yeah,
it's weird, and it's been happening progressively over the last couple of years, or maybe the last year. It's pretty mild, and it comes and goes, and it usually only happens when I'm holding things, and it's mostly in my left hand. But Angel noticed and Megan noticed, and they reached out to me, and Dr. Fung was like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" So he asked me a couple of questions, like, does it happen when your hand is at rest? And no, it doesn't, only when I'm holding things, and usually only in the morning.
Yeah. And
he said that's classic essential tremor, like a benign tremor. Nobody really knows what causes it.
Wow.
Yeah. He also says it's not like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. It's not that.
Oh, that's a relief.
Yeah, exactly. But most people just live with it, and until we figure out what causes it, I get some extra vibrato when I'm shredding lead solos now.
So how's it going to affect the guitar? I guess, just...
I don't think it's never affected my guitar playing so far. So.
Good. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, like I say, it's usually in the mornings. It's a little bit worse. But by the time I'm playing, it's like 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Of course. Nice.
So that was my week. And I guess it's time to give away a mug.
Yeah, I think we should do that. So we have a fan club that you can get to at fanclub.2keto.com. You answer a few questions and you go in the draw to win some loot. And every week we give away some loot to a random person. And today we're going to give away a mug just for something different.
Yeah.
So who have we got?
Something different.
So who are we going to pull out of our hat?
Well, believe it or not, the winner is none other than James Brown.
James Brown? Hey! Hit me! The Godfather of Soul.
Sorry, James. I'm sure you're sick of that. But yeah. But that's his name, James Brown, and he won a mug just for being a member of the 2 Keto Dudes fan club. And as Richard said, you can go sign up for that at fanclub.2keto.com.
Yeah, and if you don't want to wait to win a mug, you can always buy one at gear.2keto.com and pick yourself up a T-shirt and other gear with witty keto sayings on it.
That's right. And that brings us to a little segment that we call...
I love that.
Little thing I learned from Blue's Clues. All right, this is an anonymous Facebook message.
Oh, they're the worst kind.
I'm keeping it anonymous. Well, it wasn't anonymous to us, but out of respect, this person asked to keep them anonymous. And they said, I have to share. During a conversation with a mom this morning, my oldest says, as part of a natural conversation, we can't have sugar. And the other mom responded, I'm sorry. You're sorry? She will not likely experience obesity? Not likely experience heartburn? Suffer rotten teeth, cavities, high blood pressure, swollen, bloated belly, and insulin-resistant induced heart attacks? suffer the plague of metabolic-induced cancers, suffer from type 2 diabetes, rotten toes, and amputations? Sorry she will never likely experience Alzheimer's? Never suffer from metabolic syndrome, PCOS, sugar-induced blindness, sugar hangover headaches? Sorry she'll never feel hungry and hangry? That her meals are deeply satisfying? I could go on. Keto isn't the holy grail, but it most surely is the optimal way of eating for us omnivores. Clearly, manufactured food is toxic. And sadly, real diseases such as type 1 diabetes, childhood leukemia, malaria, cholera aren't getting the resources for research, as so much is spent on artificial, manufactured, man-induced illnesses.
Dear. Yeah, well said.
Well said.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting when we talk about manufactured food that it's not necessarily bad. It's just that it's not that the food manufacturers are jerks. They're not doing it.
Yeah.
They're not evil. They're not doing it. It's just that human beings are hardwired to make short-term decisions about food because, we had to in our evolution. We think, I feel like a donut. I think I'll eat a donut rather than thinking,
right,
I'm going to need to prioritize some, say, vitamin C over the next several weeks so as, not to get scurvy. So it's not that we lack virtue and planning. It's just that we want energy to live to hunt for another day, and we're hardwired for that. And our institutions reflect us as humans, and
right.
So there's not much incentive to make a product that is nutritionally complete, but there is a lot of incentive to make one that triggers your bliss points so that you'll buy it. And there's also incentive to make it from the cheapest possible raw materials because of the profit motive. And
right.
so, this is why we fill processed food with cheap seed oils and seed starches and sugars. And, it's not because these companies are
right.
evil. It's because they want to stay in business, because if they don't do that, they won't stay in business. So,
if there was a business model where most people were eating healthier food over the non-healthy food, they'd follow suit. Sure they would.
Yeah. That's
But
it.
it's the processed flours and carbohydrates that are the most damaging because, as Jason Fung says, they're like crack cocaine. They go into your bloodstream so fast and they hit your liver so fast that there isn't a chance to process anything else.
Yeah. No, it's true. Really, learning to cook for yourself is the way to get out from under this plague.
Yeah, it sure is.
Sure
is. So that's what I got. What do you got?
So I've got one from Stuart on the forum, and he says, do you need to eat at a caloric deficit to lose weight? I've been keto for 8+ months and I've lost 25 pounds, but I've been stalled for a month floating between 220 and 219. I'm a type 2 diabetic on Lantus, metformin and Victoza. I'm down to 20 units a day of Lantus, which is the insulin, but I can't seem to get my blood glucose low enough to keep weaning off more of my drugs. I'm usually between 100 and 114 with the insulin and about 140 without. So if he takes his insulin, he can keep it down to 100, his blood glucose to 100. And he's not taking a lot, only 20 a day, but still. He goes on to say, I'm hearing a lot of different advice. I just need to reset a course that I can believe in. I feel much better on keto, but really I want to get off insulin and to continue to lose weight and get healthier. I'm contemplating 16/8 intermittent fasting and going mostly carnivore for a bit, and he's just asking for advice or thoughts.
I have no idea.
Well, I have a couple of ideas. I think one thing it's worth knowing is that by the time most type 2s are on insulin, they've got very little beta cell function remaining. So it's right at the end of the disease process when you have less options. And so if you can get, time at lower chronic levels of glucose can increase your beta cell mass. So you can reverse that as long as you can get glucose down. And time at higher chronic levels will decrease your beta cell mass and make things worse. And so there's this, we talk about it, this knee of the curve or the beginning of the slippery slope around 110 milligrams per deciliter. If we have glucose higher than that, we kill off beta cells faster than we can make new ones. And if we have it below that, we can make new ones faster than we kill them off. So that's this sort of pivot point there. So my advice is to keep glucose as low as you can, even if that means you have to inject some insulin, and hope that gives you the ability to grow back some of the capacity of your own beta cells. So I guess, don't go completely off insulin. You might be able to reduce it further over time as your pancreas sort of kicks in. But I suspect, it's what it's doing right now. That insulin is supporting your pancreatic function to give your own beta cells a break. And yeah.
So what about fasting? I know that Jason Fung, that if you're on medication, such as these, and you do an extended fast, that you run the risk of your blood sugar going too low.
Right.
But an intermittent fast like you're talking about here, Stuart, 16-8, 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating, is probably a good place to start.
Yeah.
And just watch it. Just watch it. If it goes too low, you want to eat some more.
Yeah. Yeah, I would certainly use that as an option. You really don't want to really mess with extended fasting, until you've managed to get your body able to produce enough insulin to be able to deal with the amount of glucose that you're making. So, that's. But I think the other thing is that weight loss. For most diabetics, weight loss is really a secondary goal. Stuart's lost 25 pounds, so it shows that he was able to bring his chronic insulin levels down, which is a great thing. It also, just bringing his insulin levels down means less chronic vascular damage, less cardiovascular risk, and a reduction in a lot of these diabetic symptoms that happen from vascular damage. And so if it was me, those would be my primary goals. And I would see your weight loss stall not as a failure, but as a success.
I agree.
Yeah, it really means that your body fat has now started doing its job properly, which is to hold on to energy when you're in the fed state. He just needs to get insulin to go lower so that he can move into a fasting state. And I don't mean doing an extended fast. I mean just the body switches between this ebb and flow of fed to fasted, and doing some intermittent fasts, where he doesn't eat for 16 hours might actually help that particular part of the process.
But I would also, and it's very important we say this, don't take this as medical advice.
No.
Work with your doctor, monitor those blood glucose levels, and have the doctor adjust your meds accordingly. Also, reach out to Jason and Megan if you haven't already. And read some of their stuff. Listen to the Obesity Code podcast.
Absolutely.
You might get some good ideas there.
Yeah, it's not a competition. You don't have to compete with anyone to get a lower glucose level, but you need to get yours as low as you can with the tools that you have, including your doctor's advice and the medication that he puts you on, and the diet and time restricted eating. All of these things are going to be beneficial for you to be able to bend the needle of your disease back towards recovery and away from progression.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yep, good luck, definitely. Yep. Well, that brings us to our content. It's all about Ketofest.
Yeah.
And it's not just going to be a pitch for you to come. We're not going to do that for the whole entire time. We have a lot of things to talk about, don't we, Richard?
We do. I think it's worth saying that we've got this Kickstarter out for the month of March, and we're exactly halfway through the Kickstarter in terms of time. It's the 15th of March as we record this right now. And we're exactly halfway through our revenue goal to be able to get the Kickstarter happening. So for those people who don't know what a Kickstarter is, it's a mechanism to reduce risk. And what it does is it allows us to put out an idea, such as, doing this ketogenic festival, and for people to fund it. And if it doesn't meet its funding goals, we've set a goal of 80,000. That's what we're going to need to be able to put it on. And if it doesn't meet the funding goals, then all of the money gets returned. If it does meet the funding goals, then everybody who's funded gets the product that they funded, which is a ticket to Ketofest for the most part. Yeah. So it's a win-win.
It's classic crowdfunding, right?
Yeah.
We are sort of quote unquote selling tickets in advance. And there's no charge to you unless we meet our goal.
Yeah.
So if we don't meet our goal, that's kind of sad because Ketofest won't happen. Either that or we'll have to find some other way to do it. So what we're asking of you, even if you can't attend Ketofest, which we encourage you to check it out at ketofest.com. If you can't attend, we still want you to share far and wide because it won't happen unless we get those tickets sold in advance.
And we've got some big plans for it this year. And, the good thing about Ketofest is last year was our first and we were an unknown quantity. And so a lot of people took a gamble on us. And they came without knowing quite what we were going to put on. And the response from people who did come was overwhelming. Everybody said, I can't wait to do this again. So,
wasn't just the attendees, it was the speakers.
Yeah.
You heard Dr. Westman talking about how it was his favorite event last year.
Exactly. Yeah.
We had fun, the whole idea is that we want to put on a festival, not just a conference. So
festivals of a people.
Yeah, we have scientific talks, but we also have, pig roast and we have music and we have walking tours and wine and cheese tastings and cycle tours, Segway tours. We didn't do cycle tours last year. We might try to do that. We had a problem with a bike shop. That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll try to figure that out.
Yeah.
But we're also this year doing twice as many science talks.
Yeah.
So we're going to have another venue in addition to the Guard Theater.
And they're both going to run in parallel, right?
Yeah. And one is going to be for technical and science and research talks. And the other is going to be for practical applications of that science and research.
So we're going to have a technical stream and a practical stream, and you can choose which one that you want to go to. And we're going to record all of these so that attendees can see videos of the ones that they weren't able to get to, or ones that they did go, to refresh their memories. We're going to live stream content from both of the venues as well. So there'll be live streaming available. And we're also planning on increasing the size of the kitchen that we used last year.
Yeah, that's really important because last year we used the kitchen at Spark Makerspace, which is sort of a community kitchen. It was a commercially licensed kitchen, but it was in the midst of 3D printers and a wood shop and all of that stuff.
It was a bit claustrophobic,
It was a bit claustrophobic. We also, in that particular kitchen, didn't have the capacity to do more than 40 covers for any dish. So we had to give away tickets, and everybody got a couple of tickets. They could choose tastings from the 8 that were done that day.
Yeah, we had to kick people out after the demonstrations of to let a new bunch of people in, and it was
exactly So it was we did the best with what we could do. Right now this year, I want to tell you about a new friend of ours. His name is Robert Ramsey, and he's a chef, and he's from New York. And he came up a couple of years ago to New London and opened a restaurant called Montauk House.
Nice.
Which has been killing it and doing great food. And then he sort of wanted to partner with the Spark Makerspace and kick the kitchen up a notch. He wanted to turn the wood shop into a full production kitchen.
Wow. And
I met with him last year in the fall. And he said, yep, I have this dream to turn that whole wood shop into this. And, Spark Makerspace is going to move into a better place. And this is all going to be kitchen. And I was like, really? That's kind of ambitious. Well, he was a little taken aback at my skepticism because this guy just gets stuff done.
Good.
Sure enough, a few months later, like last month, I walk into this place and he's done it.
So what's it look like? Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole area, and we'll post pictures, the whole area where everybody was standing is still there, but now he's got tables, and he does a brunch on the weekends, and it's standing room only. It's packed.
Nice.
Not only that, but the wood shop in the back is gone. It's a full production kitchen.
Wow.
He's got refrigeration. He's got 4 or 5 stations. He's got the sinks and the dishwasher. He's got a sous vide station. He's got a vacuum sealer.
Nice.
He's got induction burners.
So we don't have to keep going up and down those stairs, the rickety old stairs to the basement, to the cool room in the basement. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And not only that, but he's got the staff to do all the covers for everybody.
Nice.
So let's say we get 200 or 300 people. Maybe we get 200 people in there. If 200 people want a cover of Kim's lemon curd tarts, you got it.
We can do that.
We're going to do that.
Outstanding.
So we're totally kicking the food up a notch at this place, and it's now called RD86.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
So between the kicked up food and the double speakers, that's why we're charging a little bit more for the ticket, and we're going for a bigger goal this year.
We want to double the number of people as well. I mean, we had like 200 and almost 300 people last year.
We had we had over 300, including the staff and speakers.
Yeah. And this year we want to get almost double. So that's our goal, because we want to double the size of this event every year. We're going to turn the whole town of New London, Connecticut ketogenic for the weekend. And what happened last year really was interesting, because the locals saw all the people coming in and went, "Wow, these are great people." They saw the food that we were eating and said, "You know, these guys eat really well, and they're all losing weight." And so a lot of locals in New London have come on board with the whole ketogenic diet. So our goal really, I mean, we've got Carl's doing regular events every month with Keto Meetups, and he's got like 300 people involved in that. And we just we really would like to make New London, Connecticut a ketogenic town all year round. So, you know, that's
who wouldn't
really
want their town to be ketogenic all year round? I mean, come on. We're talking about bacon on demand here.
We are. We'll do Canberra next, huh?
Yeah, well, we have some ideas about that, but before we leave the context of New London, another one of the things that we did at Ketofest last year that we plan to do again this year is we went around to all the local restaurants, and I say all of them, I mean every one of them in walking distance.
Yeah.
And we walked in and told them about the ketogenic diet, and you were with me, Richard.
Yeah, I was. We did it together.
We looked at their menu and said, here's things that we think that you could, you know, sell based on what your menu is. Only one of them turned us down because, you know, the owner was too busy. He didn't get it. He didn't understand, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But we did pizza on a plate at Wings and Pies, where they had chicken wings and pizzas. Yeah. Meaning that if you ask for it on a plate, no matter what the pizza is, it just comes, you put all the toppings and cheese on a plate, put it in the oven, melt it, serve it.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. And we had pad thai using shirataki noodles and
we talked about that last week, I think, right?
That was awesome.
How this guy we blew his mind, this chef, with shirataki noodles.
Yeah.
We also had the two biggest ones were Hot Rods, which serves wings plus ribeye and other meats and things.
They did a pint of bacon. It was outstanding. Yes. It was like the best appetizer you could ever have is a pint glass with bacon. It's brilliant.
4 or 5 slices of bacon.
Absolutely.
In it. There you go.
Yeah.
And he did prime rib and ribeye and you know, some Brussels sprouts and things like that. And he also made my chocolate mousse. Nice.
Well, that's where I had dinner that night. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Daddy Jack's is a Italian place and also a pizzeria. And they agreed to do Carl's Head, Fat Head, whatever you want to call it. We used the eggless recipe.
Yeah.
Pizza crusts and put pizzas on them. What they weren't prepared for was 150 people coming in to sit down and all ordering a Carl's Head pizza at the same time.
They got slammed.
They got slammed. Steve, the pizza guy, I walked in, hey, how you doing? And he let out a series of expletives that I cannot say in mixed company.
No.
Or on the air.
Or on the air.
So what happened was myself and one of the chefs at the kitchen made 50 crusts ahead of time and brought them down to Daddy Jack's. And so really all they had to do is put the topping on the crust, which was already made, put it in the oven for a minute and do it. But the problem, of course, with Carl's Head pizza is that, you know, it melts. So they have to, it needs a little more tending. This year, what we plan to do is give them at least 100, 150 crusts, and they'll do them on a salamander.
Right.
Which is like a broiler, but it comes down really close and just heats it up. So they'll put it on a pizza pan, they'll put the toppings, put it on a salamander, and this year, all the pizzas are going to be served buffet style.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So the idea is that you'll be able to they'll just keep cranking them out, and you'll be able to just go grab a slice, grab a slice, grab a slice until you're satiated.
Carl's Head Pizza to satiety.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So in other words, we learned a few things and we're planning more. Now, one of the things Richard mentioned is that I'm doing these monthly local meetup things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I started a New London County ketogenic meetup group, and I encourage you to do the same in your town, in your county, at meetup.com. And we have about 250 members now, just over. And so these are all people locally who are interested in ketogenic stuff. Now, in talking to Robert, we discovered two things. We want to do more events, and we want to sell food.
Yeah.
Because he's got the facility, and he's got a local market for brunch that isn't ketogenic, but more is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to do two things. First of all, we're going to start making oopsie bread and selling it. Eventually, we're going to start shipping it.
Nice.
How cool would that be?
Yeah. So shipping it locally to people in New London?
Or shipping it with, frozen, the way Fox Hill Kitchens ships their bagels, which is you freeze them and you send them and you tell people, you need to send them overnight and refrigerate immediately.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're working on that. That's not happening yet. But the second one is an idea that we had for monthly keto mini fests.
Ooh.
A one-day version of Ketofest.
Compressed.
Compressed, yeah. This is also something that you can do, listeners, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the idea is that we'll do here in New London, we're going to do cooking lessons because we have the kitchen.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We'll do a cooking lesson in the morning for some breakfasty type thing like waffles or salmon frittata.
Nice.
Salmon brie and asparagus frittata.
Yeah.
Louise.
Yeah.
And then we'll go up to PWOP Studios, which is just a block up the street, and we'll watch online presentations unless we can get somebody, to do a presentation and come locally. But we'll watch an online presentation and then we'll get live remote Q&A with the presenter.
I Skype them in, yeah.
Skype them in. So Eric Westman has agreed to do this for Saturday, April 7th, which is our first one. You're going to be here.
Yeah.
I'm going to be here.
Yeah, that's going to be a party. So it's going to be a Keto Mini Fest.
And Megan Ramos also said she might be able to do that in the morning.
Nice.
So we get a couple of presentations. You and I do a presentation. We have live Q&A with Dr. Westman, with Megan. And then we go back to, at around 3 o'clock, we go back to RD86 and we make dinner.
Nice.
Together. Like we make dinner.
Outstanding. So this is separate from Keto Fest, the event, which we're still doing on the 21st of July this year.
Correct.
And you have to go to the Kickstarter if you want to get a VIP ticket. There's not many of those left.
And we should talk about the VIP tickets.
We should talk about the VIP tickets because the only way to get them is to Kickstart.
That's right. The VIP ticket gives you the weekend pass to Keto Fest, but it also gives you access to the VIP party, which is at my house. At least it was last year.
Yeah.
Will be again this year. We hope.
Yeah.
The idea is that all the speakers come and you and I cook.
We do.
Last year I made keto clam chowder. You made Julie's German red cabbage. And we both made 48-hour sous vide chuck roast.
Oh, how good was that? That was really good.
And Louise Reynolds made cheesecake.
Yeah.
For dessert.
And Louise and I both smuggled beer, zero-carb beer in from Australia.
Shh, don't tell them.
Don't tell customs. So we brought in some cases of beer. I think Andrew and Louise and I, the three of us can each bring a case in by ourselves. That's okay. Customs are fine with that. So we're going to have at least 6 dozen because
that's crazy, but
that's a good start. So yeah,
shh, don't tell anybody that. Okay. Well, last year we only sold 60 VIP tickets because my house can only hold so many people.
Yeah.
And, with the 40 or 50 admins, there was 100 people in the house.
And they went really quickly. I mean, this was like the ticket. And they went so quickly that people were complaining, I didn't have a chance to kickstart early enough. And so I missed out on the VIP ticket. And it was like an extra $100, you get 3 days worth of all of food, of events, of,
and you get to hang out with the speakers and get FaceTime with them.
Yeah.
So this year, what we've decided to do is bump that up to 110 tickets. But yeah, I know what you're thinking. It's going to be crowded. No. We're transforming my front yard into a party space as well.
Nice. So putting a dance floor down and a marquee up and
yeah, exactly, and some seats and some lighting and, maybe an outdoor bar, that kind of thing, some music. And the whole idea is now you'll have the front outdoor space, you'll have inside the house and, big kitchen, big granite island and, great time in the house.
And then the deck.
And then the deck out back, which is enormous. So
it is.
So we're bumping it up. We're allowing more people to come and have that experience because it was so popular last year.
Yeah. I mean, how many other opportunities are you going to get to talk to Eric Westman about your ketogenic diet, or Professor Richard David Feynman, or Ivor Cummins, Jeffrey Gerber, Amber O'Hearn? Yeah,
yeah, and we can add a few new people this year.
Yeah,
Nina Teicholz.
Yeah. Well, she's only going to come if it's kickstarted. So
that's right.
That's the deal. If you want to come and hang out with Nina, get one of those rare VIP tickets really quickly and help us kickstart this project. Yeah.
Also, Peter Ballested wants to come.
Outstanding. This is the
Ruminati.
Ruminati. The Ruminati will be in session.
He will be here if all goes to plan. And also, our friend Jimmy Moore.
Jimmy Moore.
He wants to come and speak.
Love to have Jimmy there. And Ivor Cummins has said that he's going to come to Ketofest. So, you know. Now he's got a book to sell. Now he's got a book to sell. He won't have a problem at all. I just saw
Ivor on national Irish television,
right,
on prime time.
Yeah,
and he was representing the keto diet.
Yeah,
did great.
Getting slammed, ambushed.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was getting slammed by a calories in, calories out guy.
Yeah,
who had his head in the sand, didn't understand things. But okay, so should we talk now about how you can get involved with your own versions of Ketofest?
Yeah, so after we've done our Ketofest in July, what we're going to do is we're going to package up the concept of Ketofest so that anybody can do a Ketofest in their own backyard. And we'll have all of the what we've learned about in the process of doing Ketofest. We'll have licensing so that you can use the name, and we'll have support to help you get the project off the ground. And it could be a keto mini fest like Carl's doing in New London, or it could be the full 3-day festival.
Right.
And
we're basically laying down the things that we require in order for you to use the Ketofest name and to have our support. So, of course, you can do your own festivals without the word Ketofest. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're going to use that word in the media, and, you also have to use the logos, we will list it and advertise it at ketofest.com or ketominifest.com. Those are the two entities that we'll use. We will give you an ad on Two Keto Dudes about it. You can use all of our graphics, logos, and digital materials. You'll have access to our graphic designers, our brochure printers, and sign makers, and those may require additional fees. And you'll have access to the speakers and the doctors and the scientists who have spoken at our events.
And we'll help you book them as well.
Yeah, we'll help you book them. We'll introduce you to them, and you will. Additional fees may apply there because, you do have to pay them. And if you want to have us at your event, we can talk about that. And of course, if we can't make it physically, we can try to make a remote presence.
Yeah.
For your keynote.
Yeah, we really want this thing to be a grassroots event. So the Ketofest is running all over the world. Like we can have summer events in America, and during the American winter, we can have summer events in Australia, South Africa, Sweden,
the UK, all over Europe,
France. These are places that are crying out for a Ketofest. So
absolutely, everywhere, anywhere. Yeah. So it does take some coordination, and that's why we're putting together this document. We call it the Ketofest Manifesto.
Yeah,
and it sort of outlays the things that we had to do to make Ketofest a success that you will have to think about as well.
It's a template, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a template, and as I said before, the certain things you have to have. You have to have a science Sunday and a social Saturday. And then there are things that are optional. Obviously, cooking demonstrations is tough to pull off if you don't have, a community kitchen.
Yeah, you need a teaching kitchen, really, but
it can be done.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you could do, you can have people standing in front of a screen showing a video of themselves cooking and narrating the process. And then have wait staff come out and deliver samples of the food, so you can get almost the same experience in a regular conference centre. So anyway, we've got lots of ideas.
Some good places to think about are places of worship, churches, synagogues, whatever, because they usually have kitchens that can support 100+ people.
Sure,
and they're allowed to do that. So that might be an idea. If you have a friend that has a restaurant that's all into keto and they want to open up their, restaurant for you as a special event on a Saturday or a Sunday, that's another idea. Some restaurants are closed on Sundays. So like Daddy Jack's, I know, is closed on Sundays. And if I went to him and said, hey, I could bring in 100, 150 people here on a Sunday and we could do some fun stuff and, money for you, obviously.
Yeah. But they also get to know his restaurant as well. So this is an opportunity to advertise what he does. Yeah.
Right. So we don't have that document ready yet. We're still working on it, but just to plant the seed that we want you to take these ideas and run with them. We'd love to have these things replicated. We've proven that it can be done.
Yeah. We've also shown that the people who actually came to the event loved it. Everybody loved the experience of going out to a restaurant in a town and being able to choose just about any restaurant and know that everybody else in that restaurant was probably eating ketogenic. The wait staff knew how to help you manage any meal on the menu to be ketogenic. Nobody thought you were the weird for ordering extra butter. In fact, I think in some cases we actually put extra butter on every table. So
we just put it on the table, right?
Exactly. So, it's people love that experience. I had people coming up to me afterwards in tears, just saying, "I have never had such a great experience at an event because I'm used to being the one weird person in town who orders butter on my steak." So
that's right.
So there's a reservoir of goodwill from that. It's worth doing an event like this just to please people in that way, because
sure is.
It's we those of us with type 2 diabetes, with suffering the scourge of obesity and metabolic syndrome, this is an opportunity to meet other people just like you.
And who knows, there might be people in your town who have done it. I can think of a few people in my town who've reversed type 2 diabetes, who've lost over 100 pounds, and who are just completely healthy today off all their medications just because of the ketogenic diet. And those are people that you want to bring up in the keynote.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm feeling a bit peckish. How about you?
I'm a little bit peckish, and I think I'm going to do recipes. And what's more, I'm going to do the recipe that I proposed to do at Ketofest this year. And I've actually done this before on like our 3rd or 4th episode 2 years ago. And this recipe is salmon bacon and sous vide salmon. And now we ate this just last week, right?
Oh my God. When it was the first time I had it. And tell everybody what my reaction was.
Yeah. Carl was over the moon. He said, I have newfound respect for your cooking talent because he never had fish so buttery.
It was so buttery and so good, and the bacon skin. Oh,
and so we started off with 2 sides of salmon. We planned to feed 20 people, and we had this place at Breckenridge where there was, I think it was like 12 or 15 of us living in this house in Breckenridge, but we invited anybody. So anybody who showed up at the door with a sort of a hungry look on their face, we would gladly feed. And so we and it turned out that 46 people showed up, and I'd planned to make 20. I think I made 23 covers just in case, and 46 people showed up. So I gave everybody half a serve, and nobody cared because there was so much food, And
there was so much food. It turned out to be a perfect portion.
Yeah. So this is really, what we're doing is we're doing sous vide salmon. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove the skin of the salmon first. And I've got up on my blog, I've got the process of how to remove the salmon. But basically what you do is you cut your salmon, a side of salmon, into steaks. So they're about 2 inches wide steaks. And then at one end of the salmon, at the darker end, so a salmon is white on the bottom and dark on the top. I think most fish are, so that fish underneath just see the white of the belly against the white of the sky, and so that, you know. So on the black side, so that's going to be the top side, there's a little fat cap down the middle of the fish, and you can pull that off, or you can pull that aside, and that gives you like a little flap to be able to start the process of removing the skin. You're going to slice the skin off, and what you're going to do is you're going to put it between 2 cookie trays and between some parchment paper and bake it until crispy, and that's the bacon.
Now, do you put any seasoning on it while you cook it, or cut it before you cook it?
So I put a little bit of salt on it and a little bit of macadamia oil, but you could use coconut oil. There is still some fat in the layer of just short of the skin, but you're going to cut through that layer, so you're going to be cutting through some of the fat. So you might need to add a little bit more fat to help it get to temperature okay.
Gotcha.
So you basically bake it until crispy, and you know, this satisfies sort of a crispy texture that's so rare in ketogenic eating.
It's missing, except if you're eating bacon and cheese crisps and that kind of stuff.
Basically, fried skin. So now for the sous vide, you know, it's so what you're going to be doing with the sous vide, first of all, you're going to take your salmon steaks and you're going to brine them in a 10% brine solution. So that's for every liter of water, you want 100 grams of salt. You want to brine it in that. I normally brine it for like 30 minutes to a couple of hours. Yeah, what this will do is it'll stop the fish from becoming dry, but it will also prevent the albumin from coming out of the flesh when you cook it. And the albumin is this white, milky sort of liquid. It's a protein. And basically what happens when you cook fish, you end up with this milky white stuff everywhere. This will keep that protein inside the salmon steak. So, so you won't see it. So what we're going to do is we brine it, and then we wash off the brine, and then we put it in a bag. Now I smear it with just a little bit of miso paste. I use a red miso, but you use a white miso as well. And miso is a fermented soybean product.
It's pure umami.
It is,
right?
It is, and it adds
buttery.
Yeah, and you can add a little bit. We had some cultured butter at Breckenridge, and I melted that and added that to the miso, and then pasted that, and I just put it on one surface of the fish, put it in the bag, and that's all I did and then vacuum sealed the bag. So that's all I did.
It's already salted. It's already seasoned.
Absolutely.
You got a little miso, a little cultured butter. By the way, shout out to Pamela Zorn.
Oh, that's so good.
No relation to Brenda, but a good friend who brought that cultured butter. She also brought wine. And homemade burrata.
And while we're on the subject of Ketofest, she's actually got a really fascinating thing she plans to do for this Ketofest coming along. So she's going to do cheese making demonstrations. So teach you how to make cheese. So anyway, I digress.
And hopefully we'll get a mozzarella cheese making kit in every bag.
Oh, that'd be awesome. So anyway, I've got the fish is in a bag, and I put them in the fridge, and they can stay in the fridge for a couple of days if you need them to. Do all this ahead of time, and you only need to cook the amount of salmon that you're going to eat. So it takes about 30 minutes in the sous vide. So there's two ways to cook this. If you want to make sure that the fish is pasteurized, so you're going to cook it over the pasteurization curve. You do this to reduce the chance of foodborne illness. You want to cook it at 57 degrees Celsius or 135 Fahrenheit, and that cooks it to a medium cuisson, which is the doneness of the meat.
But also you have to cook it at that temperature for a certain amount of time, right? Yeah,
it's about 15 minutes. And then once it's done, it can just sit in the bath, and you probably don't want to cook fish for more than an hour, because the enzymes in the fish start to break down the proteins, and then it gets sort of mealy. But we did this in Breckenridge. We weren't ready with the rest of the food, so we just left the salmon in the sous vide, just blipping along at its temperature, just happy, sitting in its warm bath, getting ready for us. So we have 57 degrees. You do it for 15, 20 minutes, and you can leave it in for up to an hour. So if you want it to be perfect, you need to take a risk. Now, ideally, salmon is best medium rare. The problem is you can't do this under the pasteurization curve because you need to either cook it long enough that the enzymes are already starting to break things down, or you need to cook it at a high temperature, which obviously, you don't, that won't be medium rare. It'll be medium or well done. So for medium rare, the temperature that you want is 125 Fahrenheit or 52 Celsius. And it's under the pasteurization curve, but then so is sushi. So, it's
right. And if you get
risk.
Sushi grade salmon,
exactly,
and you're brining it, the salt will tend to kill some bacteria. So it's a risk worth taking in my book.
Yeah, unless you're immunocompromised. So that's my rule. The way I present this is I mix up some mayonnaise with some smashed avocado and some wasabi paste, and I smear a little bit of that on top of the salmon. So I pull the salmon out of the bag, cut the end of the bag off, and pull it out with a spatula. Put a little bit of this wasabi avocado mayonnaise over the top, and then just lay the bacon, the salmon skin bacon over the top of it, and put a little fennel salad on the side. And that's how we served it in Breckenridge.
We also made a little sour cream and dill sauce, I think. Maybe a little tzatziki sauce, kind of.
Well, that was just a creme fraiche. Well, it was sour cream because that was all we could get. But you can use creme fraiche and some dillweed fronds and just chop those up and squeeze a little bit of lemon juice in it, and you can use that as well as a dressing on top of the salmon. But the mayonnaise didn't really set up well at altitude. I didn't realize this, but it's very difficult to make an emulsion of mayonnaise at altitude. And Breckenridge is like, was it 14,000 feet or something ridiculous?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So anyway, that it was delicious. It was delicious. So the creme fraiche and the dillweed was a backup plan in case I couldn't get the mayonnaise to work, and it ended up being sort of like oil soup.
Yeah, it was delicious.
So that's my meal. So what have you got, Carl?
Well, what I have is something delicious. It's a riff on baked stuffed peppers. Okay. But keto style. Mm-hmm. And the problem I've always had with keto stuffed peppers is there's not enough fat. You know, it's a lot of protein and not a lot of fat. So this one attempts to get some more fat in there. So you're going to need 3 green bell peppers, halved and cleaned.
Capsicum in Australia.
That's right. A pound of ground beef or pork or a combination thereof. You want a bag or 8 ounces of konjac rice, shirataki rice. And the one that I use is called Miracle rice. Nice. You want about a half a pound of fresh pork sausage. That could be Italian sausage. Just watch for sugar. It could be sage sausage. It could be whatever you like. Just some sort of sausage that you like. It could be chorizo.
So I think, sausage isn't links, is it? Sausage is just like the mincemeat.
Well, sausage is both in the United States. Okay. It comes in 2 forms. It comes in links, and it comes in, just freestyle. Mincemeat. Yeah. So I liked minced chorizo. That has got such good flavor. That's what I like. Nice.
So in Australia, you sausages are always the links. So we call the rest mincemeat. But you can, in Australia, if you want to basically make sausage meat, you just get fresh sausages, cut them open and just squeeze them out, and you've got mincemeat to be able to use for something like this.
The chorizo sausage links that we get here in North America most of the time are really dry. And there are places that sell packaged minced chorizo that is a Mexican chorizo, I believe, that really is what am I trying to say? It's juicy. It's fattier. It's
not
fresh.
Smoked.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
So now you need a half a pound of bacon that's cooked and crumbled, My favorite way to make bacon, of course, is on a parchment paper, on a cookie sheet, in the oven, 300 degrees until it's done, which is about 15, 20 minutes. You want 2 ounces of crushed pork rinds. You want 8 ounces of shredded mozzarella cheese. You want half a cup of grated Pecorino Romano cheese.
Okay.
You want 2 cups of mushrooms chopped. So just take mushrooms, chop them, measure out 2 cups. You want a half a small onion. This is optional. Everybody knows that sweet onions have some sugar, natural sugars in them. But if you want that onion flavor and you don't mind using onion powder, you can do that as well. I can't cook with onions for my wife because she has an allergy to onions. But in my recipe, I take a half of a small onion, chop it up, and put it in there.
Nice.
3 or 4 cloves of garlic, crushed, of course. And you're going to fry all this stuff in 2 tablespoons to 4 tablespoons, because, you know, up to you, of ghee or olive oil, cultured butter, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. It's up to you.
Nice.
I like to use ghee. And I like to use 4 tablespoons. All right, so we're going to start by preheating the oven at 350. You're going to thoroughly rinse the konjac rice under water until any residual smell goes away. Sometimes you get a smell, sometimes you don't.
Yeah, konjac here in Australia lately, they've been selling a version that has no smell. And they manufacture it so it has no smell.
Yeah, same here. And I think Miracle Rice is the same way. But if it is smelly and it's still smelly after you rinse it, zap it in the microwave for 30 seconds, rinse again, and just keep repeating until the smell goes away.
Sure.
So now you want to take the onions, the mushrooms, the rice, and the garlic and saute that in the fat. And then when it gets a little, after a few minutes, you add your meat, the ground meat, the sausage. Keep sauteing that until it's browned. Now you want to transfer that mix to a bowl. Then you're going to add the pork rinds, the bacon, and the Romano cheese and mix it all up together. Mix it good.
Okay.
Add salt and pepper to taste. And then you're going to fill the pepper halves with the mix and cover with the shredded cheese. Put it on a cookie sheet and bake that for 20 to 25 minutes at 350.
Nice.
When those babies come out, oh man. Good stuff. Stuffed peppers.
Yeah, I think I need some stuffed peppers in my life, yeah. Because everyone's used to doing it with regular rice or with breadcrumbs, and no, this is good. Right.
Yeah, very much. Well, that's a show. We hope you got something out of it more than just an ad for Ketofest, and maybe we inspired you to do something in your own town.
Absolutely.
And, well, for those who are coming and those who have got their tickets already, thank you very much. And even if you're not coming, please share it. Let everybody know that it's happening.
Of course, if you have anything that you want to tell us, something we said wrong, something you don't agree with, some more research that you found to support or refute anything that we've said, send it by email to dudes@twoketodudes.com or post it on our website.
And you can follow us on Twitter at 2KetoDudes, on Instagram at 2KetoDudes, and make sure to use the hashtag 2KetoDudes.
And of course, if you want to join the free ketogenic forum, it's forum.2keto.com.
And if useless swag is your fancy t-shirts, coffee mugs, and all that other junk with our mugs on them, head over to gear.2keto.com.
And if you want a shot at getting some of that swag for free, join the 2Keto Dudes fan club. You'll be eligible to win something in every show. Go to fanclub.2keto.com.
And if you feel like supporting our forums and all the podcasts we produce, including 2 Keto Dudes, Keto Woman with Daisy Brackenhall, and the Obesity Code podcast with Jason Fung and Megan Ramos, think about making a monthly pledge on our Patreon page at patreon.2keto.com.
Yeah, I just want to make a point here that everything that 2 Keto Dudes does is listener and user supported. So Ketofest, for example, is all user supported, crowd-funded. All of the stuff that we do is funded by people who listen to our show.
Right. So help us stay on the air.
Or just hit the donate button on our website at www.2ketodudes.com or go to donate.2keto.com.
And you can also see our podcast and other videos, like from Ketofest, on YouTube at youtube.2keto.com.
And if you haven't already, go leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That's how new people get to know about what we do.
2 Keto Dudes is brought to you by 2 Keto LLC, who strives to support the low-carb community with podcasts and other publications. And that brings us to the very important phrase we end the show with: keep calm and Ketofest on.
Yeah, keep calm and Ketofest on, Carl.
All right. And we'll see you next time on 2 Keto Dudes.